Welcome back to the Loveland Report and the Lone Ranger Show. I'm Cleve Loveland alongside Bruce Woodburn, the Lone Ranger. We were talking about how the MLS is the way to work. What's all the turmoil on Wall Street done to rates, which are still great. You need to call the Lone Ranger about that. Got a couple more listings and I want to jump into negotiating tactics. I've got a 1 acre property for $387,000, 2,000 square feet, nearly new home, 3 years old in East Orlando for $387,000. I've got a golf villa. I call it a villa, but it's 2,400 square feet with a pool. 3 or 4 bedrooms, wood floors throughout the entire first floor, $539,000 for that. It's 2,400 square feet. And then I go to the Highlands in Winter Springs, $510,000.
Beautiful community, by the way.
This is
very tree canopy
and a drop dead remodel. This drop dead remodel. This house, the owner bought extra land behind him, so it's got over a third acre lot, or about a third acre lot. 510,000, 2,000 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2.5 baths, gorgeous cabinets, gorgeous backlighting and LED lighting under the cabinets. Beautiful open kitchen with a big high ceilings, split plan, master bedroom with a gorgeous, everything's redone, top to bottom, down to the studs for 510,000 in the Highlands. And then in the Palisades in Claremont, third acre lot, 2,100 square feet for $429, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, 2-car garage. Nice thing about this, backs up to conservation. Well, it's the old golf course. Don't know if that, but they do maintain it. It's not like one of these golf courses that shut down and they don't maintain
Rosemont?
it. Yeah. And so they maintain this. And so you got a beautiful field out behind you with beautiful views. You're perched on a hill and just a beautiful yard, big screen porch on the back of the home for $430,000. So call me if you want to take a look at any of those, or if you're thinking about your dream home. Let me know and I'll help you with your plan. There's a way to work out the plan. I just had somebody call me, Bruce. It was really an honor. I spoke to this gentleman. He called me. The name was slightly familiar. And he said, you talked to me in 2003. And I'm like, okay, that's why you're not on my phone. We didn't have smartphones back then. He goes, and you told me not to sell. And I didn't, because he was only going to get, I remember the situation. He was only going to get about 15,000. He'd been in the house for about 2 years, young family.
Right.
And now the kids are all grown and moved out. And literally he sold for 320. And walked away with that cash, downsized, and just very, very
walked
grateful.
Away with 320 minus his costs.
Yeah, and he was honored by the fact. I was honored by the fact that he called me, but he was cognizant of the fact that I didn't sell him it. Right. I didn't say let's sell, and I said you just hang on. It's kind of a slow market. This is after I think it was 2002 or 3, and I said you haven't been here long enough to build up a lot of equity. Where are you going to go? And I looked at the situation. It wasn't right for him to move. And he hung out there and things went well for him in his career and everything. He's retired, semi-retired now, and the wife's retired and they're just enjoying life. But he called me. It was an honor on that. But that's what I help people with is their plan.
Well, you know what? I think that you and I hear that, and it is an honor and it's a privilege to actually be on the air and our listeners do trust us. And if I hear anything that is a pattern, it's that I feel like I can trust you guys. Yep. And you know what? If nothing else, we have that. And that's the most important thing to me is that people can count on. If you come to me with a mortgage, I'm not going to try to sell you something that you shouldn't have.
Yeah. And I wouldn't
try to get you into a program that wasn't the right program.
I go to people's houses sometimes and it might be mom and dad's house they're going to inherit. And I said, maybe this is a good rental. Do you need this cash? How's that going to change your family? And I know my numbers. I know their numbers when they tell me, okay, this is going to sell for this much. And I say, all right, well, you're going to make $20,000 a year off the rental after expenses. Is that good for you? Or do you need this $350,000 in your bank account, in your portfolio, or to pay off other debt? People appreciate that. So that's what we do is work out good real estate plans for anybody in Central Florida. And then I want to jump into negotiating tactics, Bruce. And you mentioned something about always ask for costs. And it's not like you're paying full price for, let's say you got a house at 500.
Yep.
And you go in at full price at 500, but you ask for 3% in cost. Now the buyer's net cost on that is 485. And some realtors don't even know how to explain that to their buyer.
No, they don't.
And that what that does is that 15,000 in your bank account, that's a nice cool pillow to sleep on.
It's less 50. Well, if you got 50, if assuming that's 15 grand because you're 3%.
Yep.
Right. So 15 grand. Now you think about this. If you lowered the house by 15 grand instead of getting closing costs,
what's your payment difference?
Well, let's say if you were putting 10% down, it'd be $1,500. Is you're only out of pocket $1,500 less.
Yeah.
But you got $15,000 reduction of price.
Yep.
If you were 20, you got $2,000 less.
Yeah.
Okay. So what's $2,000? I'll take 15 grand in closing costs over
Yeah, I just
$2,000.
think most people are better off doing when I sit with people at their dining room table and go over their finances, most of them are short on cash. They might have a great 401k and great retirement plans, but liquid cash, things are tight now. Your grocery bills and gas pumps, Trump's fixed a little bit of it, but not enough of it yet.
Yeah.
I just think
Well,
that's always smarter for a buyer to do. And I just think that's really good.
Well, I think it is too. And I think that there's a lot of things that Americans could do to put themselves in a little better financial position. You see our country's trying to get in a better financial position. What position are you in right now? Like, do you have enough of a survival number in the bank to survive?
Yep.
Do you have real estate?
Yep.
Are you renting right now?
Yep.
Do you have a savings? Do you have life insurance? Do you
Yep.
have a will and trust?
Yep.
All of you, and listen, this is what Cleve and I help our clients with. He just doesn't sell you a house or put a sign in the yard. I don't just do a mortgage for you. I want to help you with a lot of things that are outside of the realm. I'm not a financial planner. I'm not licensed to tell you where to invest your investments, but I can show you the things that we've done that have been successful to help us.
And that's the thing. You could have a $200,000 or $300,000, $400,000 401k at work, but if you've only got 20 grand in your savings or 50 grand in your savings and no other investments, and mom and dad left you a house, I'm going to say probably sell that.
Maybe
that 300 grand needs to get invested, pay off some debt, pay off the minivan, all those things we look at on doing those things. And that's why I just think knowing the whole picture, Bruce, I just had somebody pass away, unfortunately, a landlord. We managed 6 properties for him. And the widow was like, well, I don't really want to worry about this. She's in her 70s.
Mm-hmm.
And we did the math. And if we liquidate, I think she's going to liquidate 4 of the 6 and 2 will be paid off. Plus she'll have about $500,000 to put in the bank and she's like, I'm good with that.
Right.
She doesn't want to get involved in the remodeling and fixing up homes and doing that on all 6 of them.
I don't blame her.
So all those things, but I help people with it. I know what works and what doesn't, but I just think people should have, the older you get, if you're in your 70s or 80s, I don't think you should be leveraging, 15 homes on DSCRs.
No, you should not.
And that's why I think you're better off
You
to get that
absolutely-
towards the planner.
But I want you guys to listen to what Cleve just said. He's giving advice that serves that client. And it's different because if it was a 35-year-old woman, you may have had a different of opinion.
Yeah,
you may
yeah.
have said, hey, let's do a home equity on one of them. Let's fix them all up so you can get maximum rent
Yep.
and then keep them for the next 35 years.
Yep.
It's a different strategy depending on where you are in life.
Yep.
And that $500,000 made a difference for her. But here's another thing, Cleve. Those properties could be a buying opportunity also for somebody that's looking to buy them and do a fix up.
Yep.
Right.
Well, we looked at that. There was one of them is actually a really great rental, but was way below market before I was managing it. And we kept the tenants that were there. We raised their rent about almost 30%, but it needs to go up another 30%. I mean, he was charging like $1,200 a month, and it should be $2,300 a month. So we're going to spend some of the money from the sold homes on fixing those up. We're going to do all those things, but I help people with all that. One thing I want to talk about is negotiating tactics. Now, the first thing you need to know as a buyer, Bruce, is they need to go to webringyouhome.com and get fast tracked with you. And that makes their negotiating a lot easier because they're just about as good as cash on that. What I want to talk to sellers about is, do you reject an offer? The first thing I hear out of sellers is any kind of offer I get. And when I call the seller and I say, hey, I got an offer, and I tell them the price, and it's 20,000 below list or 30,000, I'm not taking that. I mean, that's the first thing. I'm like, every offer is worth a counter offer.
Absolutely.
Except for the ones in my spam, which are the guys that I don't even know how they probably don't have a real estate license. They just pump out offers at 60% of list price. All the people you hear advertising on the radio will buy your home.
Oh, I'm getting solicited by them on a regular basis.
Yeah, they get the text messages from them about we'll buy your house. They're not looking out for you. But most offers are worth it. And what I do is I'll give, let's say I get a $450 offer on a $500,000 home. I'll send back the 3 comps we had at $490 and $495 and $520 to show this is why we're at this price. And I'll tell them, hey, I'm getting 6 realtors a week through this house. 2 of them are coming back this Friday for a second look. I know we're going to sell within 5,000-10,000 a list price. If it was my buyer,
you're serious, get right with your price.
And that's what I tell them. And they're like, some of them get offended. Like, why are you telling me my job? I'm like, you really don't know it that well if you're writing offers
or
10%
or
below
you're
list
just
price.
writing offers.
Yeah, they don't
for
know
the exercise.
And there's very little training out there. There's very little real estate 101 in the real estate industry nowadays. It's mostly just virtual brokers that will take anybody that can fog a mirror and they just have compliance departments. They don't have a sales manager that tells them how to write offers or how to look at comps, all those things that come up that people need to know. But I will help them with that. But just about every offer is worth a counter offer. And you know what else I'll do, Bruce?
What's that?
I've given people, I hate when I see a property listed for 500 and it sold for 450. And I'm
Okay.
like, why didn't they counter back at 485 and reduce?
Something, right?
And I've done this while negotiating, lower the list price by 5,000 or 10,000. And I've done that while negotiating. Said, hey, look, I know we're going to sell close to list price. Seller's not prepared to go that low right now.
Right.
Don't think we'll have to because of our activity, but we are adjusting the price because we didn't get offers after 3 weeks. And I do these things and I know what's right and wrong and I can guide people on this, but most agents out there don't know how to do this.
No.
But if you want the right person negotiating for you, call me 407-352-8118. And Bruce, if they want the right person doing their mortgage, what's your number?
You just give Bruce Woodburn, the loan arranger, a call at 407-250-9144 or go to webringyouhome.com and get started. We take applications over the internet, by phone, in person, by Zoom, you name it. Whatever it is that you want is the way we'll do it.
All right.
So that way and we prefer still personal meetings, but not a lot of people can come in. But getting on a Zoom call to me really helps the client understand the process, and things go so much easier than when there's really no direct communication. Right now, a lot of the millennials, they just want to text and email. They don't want personal communication. But listen, we're talking about a big ticket item. You need to have an understanding of what you're doing and what your options are. So we offer all of those services. If you want that level of service, that personal service, and I am always involved in my transactions, call me at 407-250-9144 or webringyouhome.com and we'll get things started.
All right. Now, also the other thing too, Bruce, is on property management. When you're negotiating on property management, usually when we don't negotiate on property management. What we might negotiate is moving in 3 weeks instead of 2.
Okay.
And an offer, you're trying to get 2,800 rent for your house, and somebody puts an offer in of 2,500 rent. That's not your renter. You don't negotiate up front on those things. It's almost like not negotiating with terrorists. We just don't do it. You want to, and
why is that?
Those people up front are usually the problem tenants.
So they're lowballing the rent.
And I, it's like sometimes, yes, I've gone from 3,000 to 2,900 for a great tenant who's moving in next week instead of the end of the month, that kind of thing. But you're looking at time and money. But somebody that comes in, and also the one that comes in demanding the living room get repainted and the kitchen counters get resurfaced, and the master bath gets retiled. God, no, don't ever do that.
No.
The tenant does not set the rules in a lease.
No, but you want to make your home a desirable place for people to live.
And if your house, let's say your house does need some of those things done, then you adjust the rent price.
Absolutely.
And God forbid, don't ever let a tenant do work on your property.
No, don't let a tenant.
Don't ever trade rent for work, and then you'll call them going, hey, where's the rent check? Oh, I swept the backyard and trimmed the palm trees.
Yeah, don't do it.
Don't do it. If you need the right person helping you in negotiating, whether it's for buying, selling, or property management, call us 407-352-8118.
Cleve, I'm looking for some more loan officers to help me and my clients navigate the loan process. So I'm looking to hire more and more people. If you are a loan officer with at least 2 years experience in the industry, I want you to think about where you are, what the opportunities are, and then you look at what we have over here at Cross Country Mortgage, and you find that it is literally night and day. So if you're interested, give me a call. I do have opportunities available, not only for loan officer opportunities, but even branch opportunities. 407-250-9144 is my direct number. Give me a call. When we get back from the next break, Cleve, I do need to hit refinances, whether it's the right time to refinance. I want to dive a little bit more into rates. And in the meantime, what's your phone number?
407-352-8118 or cleveloveland.com. Be working all weekend.
Yep. Or the loan arranger can be reached right now by cell phone, 407-250-9144 or webringyouhome.com. When we come back, we're going to talk about what are rates doing? Is it right for refinance? And how can you negotiate a transaction? We'll be back in 5 minutes. Don't go anywhere.